right, so Facebook, we are up, and YouTube, we are up. Okay, except got a little off there. And the YouTube camera is just crooked, and I don't think there's anything to be done about that. So, here's what it is, right? I'm not cutting off my head. So, I'm a second behind, so I'm just going to give people a little second to jump on, and then we will get going. One more class here, and then I get to find my new digs. So next weekend we'll be live, and then the next 2 weekends for sure are going to be a little too much, I think, to try and manage that. So I will make sure and see if I can't get something else going on. I've got a little time. Maybe I can upload something special. So that's my plan anyway. We'll see how that ends up going. Today we're going to work the core. So remember to engage the belly, and the further your extremities get away from your body, the more challenging it is for the middle. If you're over feeling your lower back, you're not engaging your belly enough, because your back will do a lot, right? Until it's mad, and then it's too late, right? So yeah, if you're feeling your upper back, or if you're feeling your back overly, then that's your sign. Either bring the arms back in or the legs back in, depending on what we're doing, closer to the body, or re-engage your belly, or sit it out, right? Sometimes that's just the way it has to be. Right? So let's go ahead and get over on the mat. See if the animals cooperate. Okay. This cooler weather, they're a little squirrely. Well, more squirrely than normal. So find your feet right up underneath your hip bones, and then press down into the legs, making the legs active. A little tuck of the tailbone so that lower back stays nice and long. The last thing we want to do is pinch it up and then squeeze it really tight. That just sounds terrible, doesn't it? So keeping the lower back long, pelvic floor up, lower belly in and up. That kind of helps with the set of the pelvis, if you can feel that, right? Tall through your sides, but relax through your upper belly. Right? Relax that. Relax your shoulders. Let your arms just kind of hang on the sides of your body here. You can turn your palms face forward if that's something that feels good for you. Closing your eyes. Think bottom tips of the ears back just a bit. And then begin to observe your breath. Breathing all through the nose, begin to expand into each breath. So the inhales get bigger, the exhales get a little bit more complete. Making your way to that just beyond comfortable breath, so that the muscles are engaged and you're engaged with these bigger breaths. And sometimes when we're focusing on making our way into these poses, we forget about those things. So stay tuned into the fundamentals, the foundation, even as you bring yourself into these really challenging, crazy positions. So with the next inhale here, we're going to take the arms and stretch them up to the ceiling. Exhaling, bring them back down again. Let's go like that, inhaling up. Exhaling down. One more time. back to the top. And when you get there, interlace your fingers. You can rotate the palms toward the ceiling if you like. Exhale, tip yourself over to the right. And then on the inhale, come on back to center and tip over to the left. So working with your breath, let's flow side to side like that. Staying engaged into the feet, strong through the legs, and connected to the breath. We're going to go once more on each side, so really work into there as good as it's going to get for now. On an inhale, make your way back up to the top again here, and then exhale to release your arms. Go ahead and take the hands to the thighs, belly in, shoulders back here. On the exhale, bring yourself forward into a half fold. And then bend into the knees and roll the spine all the way back up. So let's do that again. Exhaling as you come forward, think flat back, and then inhaling round back. Take a few more flows like that. Leaning on the thighs if you need the support there. Let's go once more. And then bring it over into the half fold, folding here. So watch that the hips don't sink back, right? The hips are right over the ankles. The legs are straight here. Again, you can take your hands and lean on the thighs as much as you need, right? If your hamstrings are short, or if your lower back is feeling it overly, right? Engage your belly and hang on with your hands if that's what you need. If you do have a deeper fold, gradually make your way there. Taking your time, thinking about keeping the shoulders back, so don't worry about where your hands fall. Taking the fingertips to the ground here, so bending into the knees if you need. And then stepping the right foot back into a lunge. And just allow yourself to kind of wiggle around a little bit. Find a center here. Sweep the legs toward each other. So if the belly is engaged, you'll feel the pelvis kind of align up pretty good. But using the legs to, again, make it a more active position. Take the left leg straighter. So if this is too much, you could prop, right? Or you can drop the right knee to the floor. The shoulders are back. The spine is long. Let's go ahead and bend back into the knee. Press off the back toes to step forward into the fold again. And just take a second, make sure you place the feet evenly here, engaged into the four corners of both feet. And then we'll switch, taking the left foot back. Nice big step back. And even here, you can have the back knee to the floor if that's better for you. Let yourself wiggle and shift a little. Finding your center again. So engage the belly, engage the legs, pull those shoulder blades together, and then how about taking that right leg straighter. And it doesn't have to be completely straight to feel the sensation. Prop, drop the back knee, whatever you need. Let's bend into the knee again. We'll step forward into our fold. And then bending into the knees here, take the arms behind the legs, wrap them around. And squeeze your belly to your thighs, not your thighs together, but your belly to your thighs here. See if you can take the legs straighter. And wherever you are, let your head hang. So your spine might be a little bit rounded here. Don't worry about that too much. Keep pulling in. Go ahead and release that. You can keep that little bend in the knees if you like here. Taking the fingers, we're going to interlace them behind the lower back, holding the shoulder blades together, stretch the knuckles away. So the shoulders keep pulling closer, the knuckles keep stretching away. So you're feeling a nice stretch across the chest. Watch that those shoulders don't droop toward the ears just to lift your arms higher. Don't worry about that. Let's go ahead and release that. And we're going to step back into down dog. So let yourself wiggle around a little bit here. And as you settle in, think about your hands like your feet. So spreading the fingers wide, pressing down into the four corners. Pressing the chest back, sinking the heels toward the floor. Let's go ahead and lift the left leg straight back. Pressing through the heel. The hips are still square here. The right heel is reaching for the mat. Open up the left hip. So kind of stacking the hip, bend at the knee, putting the knee up toward the ceiling-ish. This right shoulder will droop if you let it. Try not to let it. We're going to take the legs straight, square the hips again, and release the toes. Switching to the second side. Go ahead and lift your right leg. Again, keep it straight back, extending through the heels here. Keeping that as you open the hip. Lift the toes higher maybe, bend the knee. Taking the legs straight, square your hips again, release the toes, and go ahead and drop on down to the knees, taking child's pose. We're not quite done with that, though. So if you need to take a break in between, feel free to do that. Let's go ahead and make our way back to down dog. And then here we're going to slide forward into a plank. Hold here. Take the knees if you need the knees. Think about the four corners of your hands, the shoulders on your back. Where is your pelvis? Sticking up or hanging down? Find that middle, engaging your belly. Lift the hips back to down dog. And then we're going to lift that right foot away from the floor again. Don't worry about high so the hips stay level. Make sure your belly's working. Slide forward into three-legged plank and hold. Find your shoulders, find your pelvis. Engage your legs. Even that right leg should feel as if it's still working. Lift back to three-legged dog. Releasing the right toes. Let's switch sides here, lifting the left leg. Keeping the hips square as you slide forward and hold. Remember, you can drop that right knee if you feel like you need to. We'll come back to our three-legged dog. Release the left toes and drop on back to your child's pose again. So let's put all that together. Lifting back up into down dog. We're going to lift the right leg. Open the hip, bend at the knee. Keeping the shoulders level, the belly in. Take the legs straight, square your hips again, slide forward into your plank. Back to three-legged dog. Releasing the right toes. And then your second side. Lift the left leg. Open the hip, bend the knee, all the fancy stuff here. Straight leg, square hips, slide forward. And then back to three-legged dog. And release the toes. Drop on down to your child's pose and take that little mini break. We've got one little piece to add on from there. But remember, you can choose to skip pieces, right? If you feel like you need to. Breathe in. So let's come back to down dog. We're going to lift the right leg. Open the hips, bend the knee. Taking the legs straight, square your hips, keep the toes above the floor as you slide forward. This time, drop down to your belly. Releasing the right toes when you get there. Hands next to the side ribs. Let's just roll our shoulders for a little second here. So keeping the elbows in, pull the shoulders up by the ears together on your back, roll them down toward your hip bones, and then release. With the breath on the inhale, come up, and the exhale, release. Take a few more flows, getting into those shoulders. And then just go ahead and release down. Pressing into the knees, make sure the belly is working again. Keep the elbows in as you press up and back to your down dog. So here we go with the second side. Lift the left leg. Open at the hip, bend at the knee. Straight legs, square hips, slide forward, and drop on down. Releasing the toes. Checking in with the hands, make sure they're next to your side ribs. Hug your elbows. Let's roll those shoulders. We're going to hold that. Imagine extending your chest forward. Tons of space. The belly is engaged. We're going to pull with the hands. Fill your triceps. And then press. Coming a little bit higher so the shoulders stay away from the ears. The elbows are hugging the waist. Let's release that. Pressing into the knees, up and back for your down dog. We'll drop on down to the knees and sit back in child's pose. So let's lift back up, down dog. Walking the feet forward, let's come into our standing fold again. Feet right up underneath the hip bones. The toes point forward. We're pressing down into those legs again. Let's go ahead and slide the hands up to the thighs and come back into our half fold here. So leaning on the legs if you feel like you need. Hips are over the ankles and the legs are straight. Shoulders are back. Yeah? If you can keep all of that, take the arms down by your sides. So this is more work, right? Taking the arms away from the body makes it more challenging. So if this is enough, this is where you stay. Otherwise, out to the sides. Right off your shoulders. Yeah. Legs are straight, hips are over the ankles, the shoulders are back, the belly's working, yes? If this is still okay, take the arms alongside the ears. Try not to round your back, drop your head. Yeah? Feeling that? Bend into the knees and come to chair. So maybe your arms are extended, maybe you're still supporting. You can come between. One more breath. And then stretch to the ceiling as you inhale, releasing the arms. All right. So we're back at the top of the mat. Make sure your feet are still in this nice neutral position, pressing down, belly engaged. Let's take some sun salutes here. On an inhale, stretch the arms up. With the exhale, take yourself into fold. Inhale, come halfway up. Exhaling, step yourself back to plank. Take the knees, of course, if you'd like, down to the belly. This should be the easy part, right? Rolling into the shoulders, that little pull, maybe a little press, keep the elbows in. Releasing that up and back into your down dog. Inhale as you step forward. Next inhale, halfway up. And back over. Reaching for the ceiling. Exhale and release. Again, inhaling up. Take it to fold. Halfway up. Back into plank. And all the way down. Roll for cobra. And then release, down dog. Inhale to step forward. Halfway up. Fold back over again. And then come all the way up. Exhale and release it. Ready to add on? If you're not, don't. Right? Modify whatever you need here. Remember, it's your breath anyway, and no one can see you. Right? So let's inhale here into chair. And then exhale over into your fold. Coming halfway up. Back to our plank again. All the way down to the belly. Rolling into cobra. Releasing back to down dog. And then with an inhale, the right foot steps forward for lunge. Toes all the way up there. Back knee or heel to the mat, we're going to lift. And then exhale on the way back down again, step back to down dog. With the inhale, slide forward for plank. And exhale to the belly. Inhale, cobra. Exhale, back to down dog. Inhaling the left foot forward. Toes to the top of your mat. Heel or knee down. We're going to lift. Coming back down again. And into down dog. Last one like this. Slide forward. And take it down. Cobra. And back to down dog. So we're going to hold in down dog or drop on down and take a bigger break for child's pose. Letting those nice big breaths. Let's lift back into our down dog. And then inhaling as you step the feet forward into standing fold. Halfway up. And exhale over. Into chair. And exhale to release it all. So let's take a nice big step back with the right foot. We're going to start off in a warrior two here. So the left toes are pointing forward, the right toes are cut in a bit. When we bend into the knee, we want to look for the big toe, stacking the knee over the ankle, and then extending the arms. So the feet are still even, pressing down. Imagine pulling them together here, and that helps pull your belly in, keeping the pelvis aligned. Take that left leg straight. Reach forward of your toes and then hinge over. Let your left hand fall to the shin or the thigh or wherever it is you reach, and you can lean on it if you need to lean on it. Otherwise, that arm just kind of dangles from the shoulder. Still even and strong into the legs. We're going to bend back into the left knee and rest the forearm on the thigh here. Bring the right arm up and over the ear. Keeping the body open to the side of your mat rather than rotating toward the floor. Feel that? From here, bring the right hand to the hip. Try and keep the shoulder back as much as possible. If you need to come forward a little bit, it's fine. It's just trickier to get back up again, right? So we're going to keep that right hand on the hip. Take the left hand in front of the left foot-ish. Hop in with the right foot. And when you can, lift the right foot away from the floor. Think stacking your hips so you're still open to the side of your mat. Stacking your shoulders. Strong and steady through both legs. We tend to forget about the right leg. Bend back into the knee. We're coming into our warrior two again. Adjust your feet until they're where you need them to be. They don't always land perfect. They almost never land perfect. Take the right hand to the back of the right thigh. Turn your left palm toward the ceiling. Reach up. Draw that left shoulder back. Let your chest open and lift. We'll come back to warrior two. And then step back to the top of the mat. So, same idea on the second side. Let's see what happens. So a nice big step back with the left foot. Check out your feet. Make sure they're where you mean them to be. When you're ready, bending into the knee, stacking the knee over the ankle, extending the arms. Checking in with your foundation, checking in with your breath. Let's take it into triangle. So right leg straight, reaching forward and hinging over. Bending back into the knee, rest the forearm on the thigh here, and take the left arm over the ear. Let's take that left hand to the hip, right hand to the floor in front of the toes-ish. All right, hop in and lift the left foot away from the floor. Ideally, the right leg is straight, but if it can't be, it can't be. Don't stress that. The hips are as open as you can make them. Same idea with the shoulders stacking. We'll bend back into the knee, step back for warrior two. And adjusting your feet. Bring the left hand to the back of the thigh, right palm turns up, reaching toward the ceiling, Drop the right shoulder back. Back to warrior two. And then releasing it to step back to the top of the mat. So we're done with all that. Let's reach up, inhale. Exhale, take it over into fold. Let yourself just hang for a moment. Go ahead and step back to down dog. And then drop yourself into child's pose for just a couple breaths. So I talked about being done with sun salute pieces, but we still have more planks to do. So let's come forward into kneeling plank. And remember, your belly is very important in these places. So let's take the right foot over to the right side of the mat, and we're going to open to the left. So we're on the right hand, right knee, with the left toes at the back of the mat. The body is in this nice long line. Left hand to your hip or to the ceiling or whatever makes you happy here. Make sure you're using your belly. You can lift the left leg, all kinds of fancy stuff. Maybe reach over the ear, find your foot back there. Again, kind of just being playful and see what your body wants from you this morning. We're going to release that side, come back to the center. And then do the same thing over here. So take your left foot to the left side of your mat and open the body to the right. Left hand, left knee, right foot at the back. The right arm up or on your hip or the left or the right leg lifting. Again, any of those pieces. Let's release that side back to the middle and sit back into a child's pose. So your side planks can be as simple as that. So we're going to work into them again. And if you want to be on that kneeling position, feel free. Otherwise, here, we're going to slide ourselves up into down dog. Take a quick shift forward into plank. And just make sure your hands and feet are far enough apart, right? So lifting the hips, keep the hands and feet where they are. Stepping the right foot roughly halfway to the hands, turn the toes out to the right. That foot is flat to the floor then, yeah? Roll to the outside edge of your left foot. Let that heel drop all the way down and flex the left foot as if you were standing on your left leg. So again, here your right hand can be up on your hip, wherever. Notice how much you are leaning into this right foot. And if you use your belly more and stack your body, you don't really need to lean very much into it, yeah? We're going to release that side back to down dog. And then work the second side. So that left foot, again, roughly halfway up. You may need to adjust it as you go. The toes turn out, that foot's flat. We roll to the outside of the right foot. The heel's all the way on the floor. Flexing that foot. Making the legs straight, the belly's working, you're stacked. How much are you leaning into the left leg, and can you lean less? Sometimes the answer is no. We're going to release that side and come back to down dog. let's go ahead and drop on down, take a little break. So especially if you're leaning very much into that little kickstand leg, okay, it's going to feel like, what on earth does your belly have to do with that? But we're going to see if we can't figure that out. So again, you still have the options of being on the knees. You still have the options of just being in that kickstand. You don't have to work any deeper if you're not ready for that. So let's go ahead and come to down dog. Shift into plank. Just again, to make sure the hands and feet are where they need to be. Back to your down dog again. Stepping the right foot roughly halfway up. Turn the toes out, outside edge of the left foot. Okay. Left hand is happy, belly's in, shoulders and hips are stacked. So if you're leaning very, very much into this right foot, lean less. Right? If you're not really leaning into it too much, see if you can use your belly, I know that sounds dumb, to pick your right foot up off the floor. Even if it's for a millisecond. Finding your balance, using your body. Step it behind you. And then step it back in front. Do that again. Back up. Come back to down dog. And let's go to the second side. So the left foot halfway up, toes turn out, to the outside of the right foot. Belly's engaged, the shoulders and hips are stacked. The left hand is wherever you want it to be. Leaning less, maybe. Leaning less enough that you can pick up the foot for half a second. Maybe you pick it up and step it back. And forward. And back. Forward. Back to your down dog. And down into your child's pose. So from child's pose here, let's go ahead and slide forward, coming out onto the belly. Too comfortable. So working with locust here, we're just going to work with the upper body for a moment. So we want to make sure that the tailbone stays turning down toward the heels. Again, the lower back is nice and long, and the belly is engaged to support the back. So arms down by your sides. The feet are going to stay pressing down into the floor. You can interlace your fingers behind your back if you like that. We're going to roll our shoulders like we do in Cobra. And again, imagine extending forward through your sternum, the chest reaching forward. Head is in line with the spine. Notice if you rise and fall with your breath, remember that upper belly is soft. Let's go ahead and release that. Come on down. Make a little pillow for your head. And then keeping either your chin or your forehead on your little pillow here, right? Just to keep the neck in a neutral position, because otherwise you can get necky. We're going to work with just the legs. So keep the pelvis pressing down. I know it seems maybe counterintuitive, right? Spread your toes nice and wide and imagine extending through the big toe. So it's sort of like leaning forward through the chest, right? Keep that idea. Keep the legs straight and lift the legs using your hamstrings more than your glutes. Let's release the legs and just rest for a moment. And then let's put it all together. So arms down by the sides again, interlace behind your back if you want.
Pressing down into the pelvis, engage the belly, roll into the shoulders, extend through the chest, extend through your big toes, and lift. We're going to release it back down again. Make the pillow for the head. Turn your toes toward each other back there, and then turn a cheek to the pillow and just rock. Shake out your back muscles. Hopefully they all worked very evenly. Sometimes they don't, right? Coming to center, taking the hands next to the sides of the ribs, hugging the elbows toward each other, press into the knees, lift the chest and belly at the same time, all the way up and back into a child's pose. One more nice big breath. We'll come to sit up on the heels and bring the legs around front. So if your hamstrings are short and this is already a nice big stretch for you, maybe just leave your hands back by your hips here. We want to make sure that we're upright on the pelvis. Press through the four corners of the feet. Belly's engaged. Maybe the arms extend. So this is something I was talking about earlier with extending your arms away from the body versus keeping them close. You'll feel the difference. The idea is to be a straight line, either through from the crown of your head through your hips, or the fingertips through the hips. Okay? So see what you need. Make sure your belly is working, your shoulders are back. This is essentially where we were earlier when we were standing in this position, remember? Keep that idea and begin to hinge forward from the hip. So the minute you feel like your knees want to bend or your shoulders want to drop or your head drops and you start to round back there, stop, right? This is not about touching your toes. Don't worry about that. Head is in line with the spine, arms are alongside the ears. So yes, you're feeling your hamstrings, but you should be working your, I don't know, I can't feel a place I'm not working here. So from the arms, your shoulders, your chest, your belly, your back, right? Your hamstrings, your feet are flexed, so even your quads are working here. Still that straight line. We're going to inhale, come on up again. Remember to change your arms if you need. And then release. So the challenge is where the arms are. Okay? And if you need them down to keep your spine long, you can still feel those muscles working. Not the arms as much, but the rest of the body, right? That's the idea. Bringing the soles of the feet together here. I'm going to turn sideways on my mat because I'm going to roll the other way, but you stay where you are. Soles of the feet together. We're going to hang on to the ankles and draw the heels in, lifting the chest. So again, the spine is in that nice neutral position here. You can do this all arms, right? But make sure your belly's engaged. We're going to lean back and balance. So if the spine starts to round, you'll definitely want to roll back. So try and keep your spine nice and long here. Without releasing your feet to the floor, if you can, take the index and middle fingers. We're going to wrap them around the big toes, keeping the chest lifted. And so you're still hanging on, and you can use the arms a lot. Probably not as much as your ankles, but do what you can. Don't worry about straight or wide, but extend your right leg, even if it's just a tiny little bit, yeah? Feel your belly working. Bring it back. And then we're going to switch. Bring it back. And then do both. Take your time, keep the spine long, Bring the feet back together and hang back onto your ankles again. From there, go ahead and round your spine, and you're going to roll on back all the way down to the floor. Keep the soles of the feet together, let them come to the floor, and just release. Release your inner hips, your lower belly, your breath. Just really let go and rest for a moment. Let's bring the knees back together. We're going to extend here, knees over hips, and you can leave the knees bent. This is, again, bringing the legs closer to the body than the arms, right? The same idea as before. Or you can have the legs extended, right? So here, this is like a laying down version of where we just were seated and when we were earlier standing, right? Feeling that? So the legs are just as active as if we were standing. The belly is working. The shoulders are back, and it's easier to keep the shoulders back here for sure. We're going to extend the arms open, and I like palms down. So hands off the shoulders here. If you find that your feet start to drift down toward the bottom of your mat, bend your knees and keep your knees over your hips, right? We don't want to overtax the lower back. We want to really be using the lower belly and these obliques here, right? So keep this idea and start to take the legs over to the right. Keep them straight and together or bent, right? Either way is totally fine. When you're just about to lose control, come on back up to the top. And then we'll switch, taking them over to the left. So you're just going to work side to side like that. And again, whether the legs are straight or bent, does not matter, but keeping either the knees or the ankles right in line with our hips here. Notice where you're feeling this the most. If it is your lower back, you definitely want to bend your knees, or if they're already bent, maybe stop. And of course, your lower back is working here, but it shouldn't be doing all the work. We're going to go once more on each side, so just make sure you're even here, right and left. When you are back to center, just go ahead and bend at the knees, bring the knees into the chest, and let yourself rock. We'll take the feet flat to the floor. Let's go ahead and cross the left ankle over the right knee. Reach back behind the right thigh here, interlacing your fingers. Draw the right leg in towards your chest. If it happens, allow your body to round up here. You'll feel your shoulders pull away from the mat, maybe your lower back will press down into the floor as your hips lift away. If you're feeling it, great. If you're not, don't make it happen. Right? It's pretty normal situation, but it's not ideal. So you accept what is, right? And you work toward what you want it to be. So keep the arms pulling in, but now press the legs back into the hand, or the leg back into the hands, and see if you can drop your shoulders. See if you can turn your tailbone toward the floor and lift your lower back away in those neutral curves. Yeah. We'll go ahead and release that, taking both feet flat to the floor. And then switch sides, so the right ankle over the left knee.
Reaching back behind the left leg, pulling the leg in toward the body. And again, allow yourself to round up. Be aware of it. And then keep the arms pulling toward you. Push the leg back into the hands and see if you can find a more neutral spine again. Maybe yes, maybe no, maybe you have to pull away a little bit, right? See what happens back there. Where are you? We'll release it, taking both feet flat to the floor. Let's open our arms back out into the T position again. And any variation, of course, for this final twist, if that's where you need to be. We're going to start with the legs over to the right. So whether you shift your hips first or bring your knees in toward your chest, cross your legs, take them straight, leave them bent. Relax into it or work into it is up to you. You can take a little of this and a little of that. We're going to take just a couple more breaths on this side. So if you need a little different variation here, feel free to get it in. And then we'll bring it back out to the center. Switch to your second side. So ideally, we work in the same direction on each side. But you may notice that you need a little something different over here. So check in and adjust if you need to adjust. Taking just a couple more breaths on this side. And we'll bring it back to center again. Drawing the knees back into the chest and letting yourself rock. Squeezing those knees as tight to the chest as you can, pulling your forehead towards your knees. And then releasing that for a full body stretch. Release the stretch and find Shavasana. Remember, you can take the feet flat. You can take legs up the wall. Come seated up against the wall. Wherever you need to be today.
Keeping the mind quiet, release the muscles, and allow yourself to rest here for just a few minutes. Allow your breath to gradually deepen. And gently restoring movement to your body. When you're ready, take the feet flat to the floor. Keeping your eyes closed for just another moment or two. Slowly and gently making your way back up to seated. Sitting well and bringing the palms to touch. Bowing to the light within. Namaste. Whee! Thanks for practicing with me this morning, you guys, and we will see you next week. If not before, have a great day. It looks pretty nice here anyway. Hopefully where you are as well. Thanks, y'all. Have a good weekend.